G3 Weekly.
Welcome to G3 Weekly, a summary of this week's top news stories on Christianity in the public square, written by Ben Zeisloft. I'm Scott Aniel. This week, Fairview Baptist Church pastor Tim Stevens was cleared of all charges for inviting his congregation to worship despite government lockdowns. The Supreme Court heard two cases that could end affirmative action in college admissions. Meanwhile, NPR drew shock and backlash by playing audio from an actual abortion. Registration for the G3 National Conference is now open. Join us in Atlanta, Georgia, September 21st through 23rd, 2023, for our national conference focused on the sovereignty of God. Speakers will include Vodi Bakum, Paul Washer, Steve Lawson, Josh Bice, and more. The special prime registration rate won't last long. Children 10 and under may attend for free. Register today at g3min.org. Pastor Tim Stevens acquitted for defying Canadian tyrants. We must obey God rather than men. Acts 5:29. Pastor Tim Stevens of Fairview Baptist Church was acquitted on all personal charges brought by his decision to breach public health edicts in Alberta, Canada, and open his church for Sunday morning worship. Stevens was arrested on two separate occasions last year, charged with 6 provincial tickets, and forced to spend 21 days in jail for his alleged breaches of public health mandates. The Provincial Court of Alberta dropped the final 2 outstanding tickets against Stevens, according to a statement from the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms. Quote, "This is vindication not only for me, but vindication that the government grossly abused their power," Stevens commented on social media. "In all of this, I rejoice since the gospel of Jesus Christ went forth in power, and Christ built his church. All glory to God," unquote. Officials in Alberta, who have since apologized following local and international backlash against the decision to sanction ministers of the gospel, appear to have backed down from lockdown regimes, although the national government continues to enforce federal health mandates. Supreme Court poised to end affirmative action. "You shall not be partial to the poor or defer to the great, but in righteousness you shall judge your neighbor." Leviticus 19:15. The Supreme Court considered 2 cases, one against the University of North Carolina and the other against Harvard University, that will likely end colleges' use of affirmative action in admissions processes. Samuel Alito, Amy Coney Barrett, Brett Kavanaugh, and other conservative leading members of the Supreme Court grilled counselors for the universities on whether discriminating against Asian American students on behalf of African Americans and Hispanics truly increased the learning experiences at their institutions. Clarence Thomas noted that the term diversity seems to, quote, mean everything for everyone, according to a transcript published by the Supreme Court. Color Us United President Kenny Zhu, one of the activists who persuaded residents of California to overwhelmingly reject a ballot measure that would have returned affirmative action to the state, said during an interview with the Daily Wire that race-conscious admissions violate, quote, 2 sacrosanct principles of the American experiment. Quote, "The first is, don't treat anybody by your race. You should be treated by the content of your character, not the color of your skin," he remarked. Quote, "The second is mediocrity as the basis for the American dream. That is why immigrants come to this country, because they believe that they're not going to be treated on the basis of their background, because this is a land of opportunity, and we will have a chance to work hard and make it in this country," unquote. NPR broadcasts audio from an abortion. "I myself will set my face against that man and will cut him off from among his people because he has given one of his children to Molech." Leviticus 20:3. NPR drew criticism for playing audio of an abortion, complete with the sound of doctors vacuuming an 11-week-old child from the womb, in a segment about the midterm elections. Doulas and nurses appeared to reassure the mother, who apparently consented to NPR recording audio of the murder, as she moaned and cried. Once a device evacuated the mother's womb of the baby, the staff members congratulated the mother, while some appeared to offer lighthearted laughter. The mother of the aborted child offered her thanks. The issue of abortion has been central to pundits' forecasts for the upcoming midterm elections, since Democrats are hoping for high turnout following the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade earlier this year. Planned Parenthood has raised more than $20 million in the current election cycle, according to an analysis of federal data by watchdog group Open Secrets. Americans are broadly resistant to the notion that abortion should be abolished. Only 8% of the population believe that the procedure should be illegal without exception or compromise, according to data from Pew Research Center. You can read G3 Weekly at g3min.org/weekly.